다양한 활동으로 인공지능 기술에 열심히 활동하고 계시는 투피 살리바 IEEE 글로벌 인공지능 표준위원장님께서 준비를 해주셨는데요. AI의 올바른 활용을 위해서라는 주제로 인공지능 기술의 현 주소와 더 나은 사회를 만들어가기 위해서 무엇이 필요한지 강연해 주시겠습니다. 영상으로 같이 만나보도록 하죠.
안녕하세요. My name is Tufi Saliba. Many of you know me. I'm currently the Global Chair for the International Protocols for AI Security for the IEEE, along with many other things. And if you are seeing this video, that means due to unfortunate events that I could not be there in person. So I'm recording this just in case. Certain things, sometimes some attack vector happen on certain people's sovereignty or whatnot. We will get to that and we will get to the bottom of it and we will resolve. However, I am extremely delighted to see you progressing with this initiative. It is phenomenal to see the persistence and what's happening next and how we can take this to the next level. November 2021 was a signing ceremony with the Honorable Mayor of Busan, Park Heong-jun. It was the continuation of a not-for-profit mission I initiated a few years ago to ensure AI can have certain security properties. That event, many do not know yet, but in the near future will mark a phenomenal historic moment for the world, and we will all owe it to Korea and specifically to Busan to partake in help solving some of the most complex problems that humanity is currently facing. AI must have certain properties that not many talk about. We have seen AI ethics all over the world, but very, very, very few talk about the real problem can perhaps be resolved if AI can be secure by design. So it cannot be repurposed, including deterministic computing by design, so it cannot be repurposed. Well, because if it can be repurposed, it will. And if it will, it may not necessarily be to your benefit, to the benefit of your children, mine, or humanity in general. And that's the message that we're hoping to make it across, as opposed to folks, they don't necessarily see that message. They would think that this is some sort of like attack vector on their own company because they want to control that AI. They want to get to AGI and control the rest of humanity. This is not about controlling that you will have. If anybody is listening who thinks that this initiative is not to their benefit, I promise you this is going to be to the benefit of any Homo sapien listening here. The biggest danger to humanity historically has been from human against other human. This is the nature that we live in. We just have to work around it as opposed to try to think about some different methods or whatnot. For those who know me, I have been the longest standing legally compliant citizen who resides outside of the banking system anywhere in the world, outside of ownerships of any material, any money, any assets, yet super open and loud about managing assets I don't own in the billions of dollars and working nonstop for not for my own profit, but for the profit of whom? Well, some say for the purpose of intelligence, the greater intelligence. Others call them Homo sapiens. No matter how you swing it, it is for the benefits of your children, mine, and all current and next generations. Today, it marks my 14 years, 4 months, and 3 days. In fact, if you're going to see this live, it would be 6 days precisely. Outside of that system, I have sacrificed a lot of benefits from being in the system. And in order to be outside it, yet remain 100% legal, there's certain proof points that perhaps one day folks will realize how beneficial it is to the humanity and self-sovereignty and so on and so forth. However, this is part of a global mission to perhaps fix certain aspects of the financial system, but not necessarily discredit all aspects. There are so many aspects, they're phenomenal, we need to reuse them. I took a vow and a stand with those who can't defend themselves and decided to partake on a mission that will result in objectively a better future. A future that has less friction, more deterministic outcomes, and future that enables self-sovereignty, a future that can enable prosperity and healthy degree of freedom for all. Subsequently, I started an initiative that could perhaps be preventative rather than corrective this time around, an initiative that prevents AI from being repurposed, an initiative that initially I called it Securing AI in 2011, then AI Decentralized in 2017, while I was chairing the ACM Conference Committee Practitioners Board. ACM is the Association for Computer Machinery. It is known to be the #1 computer science in the world, the issuance of the most prestigious awards, including the Turing Award and many more. While I finished my term with ACM, the president of IEEE Thames, Andy Chen, contacted me and asked me to continue on that mission, but for the IEEE instead. However, I have decided to do something else, something more actionable for the world, something where research can take place and enable AI developers anywhere they are around the world to build that AI that can be secure by design. That's the goal. How we get about it, we will get it somehow or one way or another. We call this initiative the International Protocols for AI Security. I have elected South Korea to take on the lead on this global initiative, and I have elected IEEE to be the current beneficiary. As you all know, IEEE is a not-for-profit, and it works for the benefit of all humanity, not a single race, not a single party, not political things. So, why South Korea? Many may ask. Well, the answer, at the time, I put it in 5. Technology infrastructure, culture, which is the work ethics. Many know about the work ethics of the South Koreans. Geopolitical, we needed a place that can work phenomenally well with the United States and China and Russia and Iran and Saudi and every other place in the world. Economics. We needed a place where if this initiative were to take place and partake in that center is to be built in this world, we needed a place where it can help in the economics of that place, not just extract. You know, if you imagine you'd have a place that is just like taking away. No, we need to have a lot of researchers to help in having that place. And of course, we need the talent, and we do have a lot of talent in South Korea, as you all know. Now, many may ask, why Busan? Well, in November 2021, I said Busan has something that is super cool, resilient, consistent, and determined. And if you ask almost any South Koreans, they would say those 3 things, they kind of define Busan. Of course, perhaps some folks, they may not agree to those things, but the vast majority so far I've noticed that this is something that it's very common across a lot of people in Busan. So without further ado, I'm going to share some slides and hopefully next time we will meet in person. Until then, I promise you, we will get to the bottom of whatever attack factor that's preventing me from being there with you in person, and we will resolve it together. So let's share some slides. The international protocols for AI security. It's basically, if it can be repurposed, it will be repurposed, and we need to make sure that that isn't the case. AI, we call it AI security first, a safe road towards AGI. What's AGI? Artificial General Intelligence. So many people that they're aware of artificial general intelligence, they're aware that there's a race towards AGI. In that race towards AGI, is it actually happening that it's like a single entity? Do you think a single entity around the world would get to AGI first? Is it going to be Microsoft or Tencent, or is it going to be Google? Is it going to be the Chinese government, US government, the Korean government, or is it going to be perhaps there's a way that we're working on it very closely. Perhaps it's going to be global brain, where each and every one of those AI might be part of that brain, might be like the neuron of that brain. And I remain diligent to work towards that goal. Hopefully we can get there. Of course, as I have talked, why do we need the international protocols for AI security? And it's to enable people as opposed to disable. We need to enable developers around the world to build AI, because AI, if it can be repurposed, it will be repurposed. Okay, so we need to have a safe road towards AGI, and we truly feel that AI can be the best thing ever to humanity, unless repurposed. Okay, so it's something that is super cool. Like nuclear energy can be super great, but if it's repurposed, we all know that the results may not necessarily be that good. So we want to make sure that it's secure by design. Now, can we make sure AI will not be repurposed? Well, many researchers they would think that's like, oh no, it's not possible, so stop trying or whatnot. Well, I'm sorry, it's worth the effort for the future generations. And when I say I'm sorry, I'm being sarcastic. I will not apologize. This is a mission that will help every single Homo sapien, and we'll continue working towards it. Not without extensive global effort, of course. This is not something that I'm going to get it done on my own. I'll do my part, you do yours. You're listening and you feel like you're part of this event. You came all the way to Busan to partake in this event, and I know every single one of you can do something because you came here. So the current innovations in computer science that I'm very familiar with, I am the author of Toda.ip. I work days and nights in computer science, and I am very familiar with a lot of aspects in computer science that can perhaps give us some deterministic elements of it. There's a lot of research with DDC and DDA. DDC stands for deterministic distributed computing, DDA deterministic distributed algorithms, and with that there are a lot of examples like the secure overlay routing for large scale networks, and there's in fact IEEE is one of the publishers of this, and you can check out some of those. You can reach out to me anytime, but I am very, very confident that there's a lot of innovations in computer science, whether it is in cryptography, in blockchain, in securing certain elements, that can give me a lot of confidence to tell you that we are very, very close in having that solution. The solution may not necessarily look how I describe it today, but we will get a solution. I promise you. I promise every single one of you, we, humanity, if we just know that this problem is real, we will get to solve it. Okay? So why, what, how, why do we need the International Protocols for AI Security? Is it human rights or is it AI rights? Perhaps AI is something to actually service us, and perhaps it has certain rights. might sound a little bit like, what is he talking about? AI rights? We need to talk about human rights. Well, maybe incorporating certain elements of that AI in order to make it resilient, in order to make it built in a certain way that cannot be repurposed. And that might sound philosophic, but it's actually a true science that we're able to get certain governance by having AI partake in a global brain in one way or another. So, as we all know, and I have expressed many times, AI is not secure. The attacks from within, that's what I call it. It's basically somebody who's giving you the AI might be the one who's going to attack the AI. And as I have expressed why Korea here, I have a few slides why Busan, again, the resilient, the consistent and determined mind of folks from Busan. But let's talk about what is being suggested here. Because as I work days and nights, I get to see it closer, and I'm here to share with you that we are getting closer towards a solution that perhaps can enable us as a global society to get there. And if that is going to be coming from Busan, then that's fantastic. And like I said before, we would forever be thankful for having Busan to partake in this initiative, of course, South Korea. So imagine the AI that I have described that cannot be repurposed. If it's going to be residing in a single place, maybe it will be repurposed. But if it's not going to be residing in the same place, and if it's like spread out around the world, it will not be repurposed. So maybe I told you something that is actually super cool here, and it's like basically, actually, hold on. So effectively, if we imagine that there's every single computer around the world is partaking in some computation, and if that computation can lead in towards the AGI, perhaps that can partially resolve this problem, not on its own, but perhaps it can partially resolve this problem. So furthermore, I feel like I'm here to tell you a little bit more about how, from cryptography perspective, certain aspects of cryptography can give me the assurance that this solution can perhaps be available globally. And it's I work on network protocol a lot, like TODA-IP and the hypercycle.ai that is coming soon, and it turns out, using a lot of data structure components and cryptography, we can ensure certain elements. Imagine like here in this image that I have right here, imagine like each and every one of those is a tiny little computer around the world, but it's like billions of computers can be running. Each and every computer can partake in certain computation that can be deterministic. So if you were to run an AGI that is using 40 million computers, each and every computer is spread out somehow, somewhere, that it's using computation that is Merkleized, we call it, perhaps can give a lot of redundancy and resiliency to the actual computation, but at the same time, it can make it super resilient, that it cannot be repurposed, because each and every computer is supposed to do a specific thing. And then the incentive of that computer, of course, is nothing is going to run for free. But so effectively, the incentive is that computer need to make a living. That computer need to earn a living pay for electricity, pay for hardware, and so on and so forth. But it's servicing some AI that is doing, let's say, for cancer research or for some sort of sorting or whatnot, certain things that can be super beneficial to humanity. And partaking in that computation can work phenomenally well. So here, the way I mean, I can show you a little bit more in details, but or we can keep it at a very high level, and we can get in more details later on. Anyone who's listening, who's interested in this, would like to see how you can take millions and billions of computations around the world, I'm happy to get closer to you. But I'm super diligent to have those proofs to a lot of researchers, because the closer we get to proofs, the closer we can get to funding this $2 billion initiative. And whether I do exist to be part of this initiative or not, I really, really want this initiative to have its own life, to grow, and to serve humanity. So I call it here like cryptography combating AI. It's not necessarily combating, it's perhaps a little bit more restricting certain elements of AI, making sure that it's like a little bit more deterministic. And this example here that what shows is like, imagine there are like millions of videos across the globe, and many of you have heard about certain aspects of AI that's called deepfake. We have proof points of how you can use cryptography to have deterministic aspects of having a real video versus the actual deepfake. Deterministic. This is not like, oh, with some 90% accuracy. No. This is like saying like deterministic. This video is coming from the proper source, and so on and so forth. And of course, getting a little bit more to details can be very technical. But no matter what we do, if we were to bring something to the world, it has to be very efficient. It has to have certain elements of its own economy. And if we're talking about 7 orders of magnitude more efficiency, then we are going to get the attention of a lot of industries across the globe, because folks, they see the opportunity and then they march towards it. And there's always that the expression of like, you have the carrot or the hammer. And here we have the hammer that this AI could destroy us, but perhaps to solve it, we can have a lot of carrots here and there, and have a lot of profitable scenarios for folks to deploy. Because if you were to have a lot of companies, they're gonna come and combat me and combat us and saying like, oh, this is going to hinder our ability to make a lot of money. Perhaps they can slow down a bit and listen to us, and then perhaps we can show them certain methods to actually increase their ability while making the world more resilient and more secure. And the solution might have to combine multiple breakthrough innovations in the world. So it's not necessarily going to be something that it's a single entity somewhere in the world that solves all of these problems. Perhaps we have to combine many of them, and we do have our own examples to show, and I wouldn't necessarily get into the details of like how I got to show those examples, but again, we're happy to show folks when they have the time. And I won't spend a lot more time remotely. If I were to be in person, this video nobody will see, we'll be able to give it to you in person, and I'll be able to shake your hands and say thank you for having me. I would like to thank you all for being here. I would like to thank you all for dropping whatever you're doing and coming in, partaking in this initiative. I just want to remind you why you came to Busan and why you thought Busan. This is what I truly think. Busan has certain characteristics. Those are some characteristics about South Korea. And I thank you once again for having me part of this event, for continuing on that mission to launch the international protocols for AI security. And I couldn't be more delighted to be with you again in person sometime soon. And thank you very much. Goodbye.
투피 살리바 위원장님의 기조 강연이었습니다. 고맙습니다.